Alright guys, as you can see, the car's still here. It's not gone to the sandblasters yet, and unfortunately it's not going to now. Yeah, my plans have changed yet again, believe it or not. Long story short, it's all coming down to money. I just don't have the sort of cash to afford a 1,300 quid sandblasted the shell. So I had to make the hard decision of I either leave the car for another year while I save the funds up, and there's another year of not driving it and stuff, or I go ahead and I attempt to repair things like this, the Scuttle corner, myself. This is a panel from Express Panels. I'm not sure if I've shown you this stuff in a previous video, probably just them headlight balls. Those are from Stead Speed, and these are from Expressed over in Sheffield. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to repair these corners myself, which is a daunting task, I know, but especially for someone who can't weld for shit. So I'm just gonna have a go and just gonna crack on. Luckily, the rear of the car, by the hole in the floor pan, which has been there for about a year, and I will sort it, I promise. The rest of the car is in fantastic condition. I'm sure you've gathered that from the rest of the video. One thing I have done as well, which I haven't got a video or any progress pictures for, is this side, which I've already actually fixed, which looks okay. You can see there's plenty of filler on there to smooth the welding lines and all sort of other evidence out. So I've got a second layer of filler here that I will sand back kind of this and create like a nice smooth transition to the filler, which hopefully when it's painted doesn't look a dog's breakfast. So over here, see I've tacked it on. This is all new panel, and there's a join right there. You can just see it as the two mate together, and yeah, it's hey done it. And if you also remember too, there was a load of holes in here, which I have, all this was completely gone, and I've made all that up around here as well. I'm not sure if you can see, but I've repaired, you can't see in there, there's no light, but I have repaired the floor pan, and it's not the best by a long mile, but in fact it's quite hideous, but it's done. And then maybe in a few years time I can get when I've got the money and stuff like that, I can do it properly. Going back to this, what I'm doing is I am doing an overlap weld. So I've measured and I need this much of the panel, so I'm gonna cut that and sort of join it over here using the bonnet. Has been a pretty good reference for getting the sort of gaps and things in the right place and stuff like that. So let's give it a go. Alright, so here we have the panel trimmed to fit, and you can see I've got it sort of held in place with some C-clamps and a big G-clamp there, sort of keeping it nice and against the original Ford panel. There's a little bit of a gap here where unfortunately the new panel doesn't just get over, so I'm going to fill that with some weld and grind it back. I've cut little bits out of the new section just to create a little bit of a lip for me to weld. I may also punch a couple of little drill a couple of little holes in the new panel as well to get a little bit extra weld in there, and you can see it's got a little lip over here as well. So there's that. I'm gonna have a go now at spotting it on. Alright, so there it is, the panel on, and I have spot welded it all the way across, and a few little bits down there and under this lip here as well, and I've ground the welds kind of flat, so they're slightly tapered back to the original level. So the next thing to do is to get some filler on this, much like I've done on the other side over there, and let it dry, and then sand it to a sort of taper that looks somewhere near decent. So I'm going to do that next. So for the hardener, for the filler, I'm using P38 Isopon Easy Sand, and can't find it. It comes with some basic filler. Mixing it on some old cardboard. Last night's pizza box is perfect for this. So the instructions say to mix a golf ball amount of that with a pea-sized amount of that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll do that now, and then I'll wax them on, and we'll see how it looks. Loads of filler on there. I tend to pack all the filler on I can, and then just sand it all away. It makes a load of mess, but what can you do? So I've thrown a lot of filler on that. It looks grim. Remember, it's going to look a bit more like the other side. So while this dries, I'm going to go sand this side down. I'm going to use my orbital sander with 80 grit, and then I'm going to knock it down to like 160, and then something even finer. And I'm going to give it a quick spray paint, I think, with some primer. Alright, so here's how it looks now. I've blasted it with loads of sandpaper. Just using 80 grit, I've basically been blasting over it and just making it so I can feel it feels smooth. So the progression from the new panel to the old panel is nice and smooth, and I've tapered out back to the bare metal. Right, well-deserved beer, I think. It's later on in the day, and here's the offside panel. I think it's pretty good for a first attempt. You can see that there's some pitting in the filler. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using this primer as like a guide coat, so I can see the pits, and then I'm gonna apply much thinner layers of filler onto those areas and sand them again, and just repeat the process until it's a very smooth, pitless finish across the whole thing. But I mean, it's close, isn't it? The other side, I've just finished doing the initial sand down of the filler, and it's just covered in this is the etch primer, which is like I think it's like an acidy based primer that adheres to the metal, the bare metal. So that's this side done. Again, I'm going to hit this with the base coat, the guide coat, sorry, of primer. And just try and get all these little bits of pitting identified and resolved. And yeah, but I mean, if I do say so myself, that is a pretty good first attempt. It's I guess a fairly complicated piece of bodywork, given how there's like a pretty big bend there in the body and things like that, and it looks pretty straight. I think from 20 feet away the car doesn't look great.